Hello, everyone. Welcome to a bonus episode of 12 Days of Workforce Wisdom, Reflections, Realities, and Resets to Wrap 2025, Empower 2026. So, I am joined today. There's two people here. Our special guest is Rebecca Warren. You may have seen her in the Is DEI Dead series, but we're here to talk to Rebecca, who is now, and we're going to do a little cheer, the Senior Director of Talent Centered Transformation at Eightfold AI. And I am being joined by my very special guest host, Tiffany Toussaint, Talent Acquisition Leader out of Minnesota. So we got Minnesota, we've got Arizona, we've got the DMV here representing, and we are all former board members together as well. Mm-hmm. Yes, we are.
We fancy.
Yes, we are. Rebecca, it's good to see you.
Yes, same. It's nice to see smiling faces here. I love it.
Yes. All right. We are going to start with reflections. Okay. So looking back on 2025, what stood out to you as the most defining shifts in how organizations think about talent? Please feel free to connect this to your talent table that you do with Eightfold.
Yeah. So Talent Table is a monthly webinar series, kind of like a podcast, no slides. We just get thought leaders on to talk about things. So we've learned some really interesting things over the last year. And me working for an AI company, of course, that comes up in every conversation. So I would say the most defining shifts are stop blaming AI. So let's just say that.
I love that.
Let's just say, right, especially the rise of agentic AI. AI is not replacing humans. Humans who understand AI will shape the future. We've heard that over and over. So let's focus on it's here. We don't have an option to ignore it. So let's not blame it for all the problems. Let's collaborate with it. Let's put ourselves in the lead. And then let's make sure that we're focusing on keeping people in the loop for what's happening right now, as opposed to trying to clarify what's happening 3 years down the road. And I've got another one that I think about too is inaction is costly, and it goes along with that one as well, is the longer you wait, the further behind you're going to be. And I think folks are starting to realize that if you don't move now, we used to say that it was okay to be not a leading adopter, but we would kind of be in the middle. That's not how it works anymore. So if you are not at least experimenting, trying, asking questions, you are absolutely going to be left further and further behind, maybe to the point where you can't catch up. And I think the other thing is agility. So all of these kind of go together, but I think leaders are starting to realize that the challenge isn't filling roles, it's being agile, understanding the work. What is the company trying to accomplish? Where those skills are, where those gaps are, and how to think about talent in a different way, being able to move it across the organization instead of hire, fire, hire, fire, hire, fire. Okay, I'm going to stop talking there. I got a lot of things to say, but I'm just stopping there.
No, we love it.
It's always great. I love our conversations and interactions, whether it's in person or online. And one of the things that I really respect and appreciate and admire about you, Rebecca, is that you are always asking questions. You're curious. You're challenging that status quo. And I think for us in the TA space, that's incredibly important. And you're also, I think you have a reputation in the industry for being curious and asking those questions, the whys, the what ifs. So on that front, what assumptions about talent, skills, or workforce design did you see organizations challenge or cling to this year, and how did that sort of shape their outcomes?
Yeah. So I definitely don't have a filter, and I always like to ask a lot of questions. I was at a conference last week, and they asked me for my closing thought, and I had one in mind, and then I'm like, oh, I don't really like it. And so 2 other people gave these really nice answers, and they're like, what do you think? I'm like, blow it all up. And they're like, oh, okay. So That's kind of my philosophy. Let's just say it. Let's call a spade a spade. And I think, okay, so as we talk about AI and we talk about what's happening, I think a lot of people think, oh, our processes are fine. We can just do what we've always done. We'll just sprinkle a little AI magic dust on the top and we'll move a little bit faster and it'll be okay. And that's not okay, right? Again, we talked about this, that is going to hurt you in the long run. So organizations have to develop intentional AI strategies, integrating, and I actually say instead of integrating, I talk about more collaborating. So collaborating with AI, but incorporating it into decision making and making sure people understand how to use it. I think we have built a culture in general of perfection, right? We've got to have the plan together. You don't move forward until you've got all the steps in place and you've got an 800-point change plan and 7 RACI charts and all of these levels of approval. And once everybody signs off, then we're ready to go. And by that time, everybody's exhausted. Nobody wants to do it and they've moved on to something else. And with the way today, I think we have to get out of the perfection trap. We have to start moving forward, embracing learning in the moment. We talked about that curiosity. Yep. What happens if you poke? What happens if you try this, right? I don't know if I would call it learn fast, fail fast, but I would certainly call it iterating quickly and keeping open feedback loops to continue to make progress, because we're learning that perfection is never going to be the goal. Things change too fast. So it has to be continued progress. And then I think, this legacy lens that we have, okay, let's just say it, especially like in TA, we love the things that we've built, right? We got here by all of those great processes we put in place in our behavioral-based interviewing guides, which I used to love, but they don't work anymore. And so we have to let go of the past. We have to ask different questions. We have to think differently. And we have to take away that legacy lens. And we have to start thinking about redesigning processes. This is the blow it all up, right? We have to think about, just because that process worked for us in the past, or those metrics worked, or the way we did things worked, we've got to now think differently, and we have to organize around the work and the capabilities instead of the processes and the plans that used to work for us.
Yes, that is an excellent segue into into the realities, which is our next question about the reality of things. For those who don't know, you work for an AI company, and you've been there for some years. So for those who think AI is new,
I'm coming up on 5 years next week. Can you believe that? 5 years.
That's awesome.
Like a lifetime.
But especially in TA, AI in some forms is not new. We were automating things before it became the buzzword. So where we are today, the reality is that AI is reshaping work, and more companies, especially from a hiring and talent perspective, they're turning more to skills-based practices. Where do you see gaps between the promise of what AI is and then the day-to-day experiences of talent teams? And I know you know this. For those who don't know, Rebecca is also a recovering
yes. I think, so I think there were a lot of promises. We talked about skills as if it was the new hottest peanut butter, right? We're just going to spread it over everything. We're just going to talk about skills here, skills there, skills everywhere. People have all different ways of talking about it. Skills first, skills forward, skills on top of things, like skills everywhere. And I do believe that skills solve so many problems, but I think our skills-based talk outpaced skills-based infrastructure. So we talk about it and we say, oh, wait, we've got a list of competencies. Okay, but competencies really are focused on culture and behavior. They're not focused on soft skills, power skills. They're not focused on tech skills. It's kind of an overlay, and it helps to drive the conversation, but folks don't have, in all of these words, right? We don't have a taxonomy, an ontology, a framework. And so I think people got excited and then realized that sometimes it's just dang hard work to figure out what it looks like. So I think we talked about it a lot, and we might have talked it to death. I think we have to focus on it, but we have to do it in a way that makes sense. And sometimes it is just figure out what skills you have in your organization, or figure out what are the top 10 skills everybody in your organization needs to have, or what are your top 10 most critical positions, and figure out the skills there and then work it into either horizontally or vertically into what you're trying to solve for. Here's one thing about AI is that AI, as we talked about, isn't magic fairy dust, and it's not going to solve all the problems. What AI will do is it will amplify the good or the bad. So if you have problems in your organization, AI is going to create more visibility and expose more of that mess. So I think that turned into a gap where, again, where we thought like, hey, we're going to fix it by layering in AI. And all of a sudden you realize that everything just imploded, because now we've realized way more gaps and way more things that we have to solve for. And it almost felt like that, that waterfall, like we can't ever catch up. Right. And then we have this human tension in all of this, right? So I talk about, we've got this convergence of a whole bunch of things. You've got external pressures, you've got internal pressures, you've got economic things happening, and then you've got this human tension, because we're like, we want to know what skills we have. We want to move internally, but we're also afraid of what we don't know. And is this going to take our job? And is there transparency from the top down? And are we allowed to use AI? And am I going to be deemed unnecessary? Like, we have all of this stuff. So there's some human tension in there as well, talking about tech, talking about people, talking about inflection points. So I think there's still some room to grow. I still think we have some work to do. We're not going to get rid of the talent functions anytime soon.
No, and it's so interesting how we go through these things every so often, once in a blue moon. As you're describing how we could be implementing AI, it reminds me of the onset of social media. And before that, it's Management by Book of the Month Club, Who Moved My Cheese, Content Cows, all of that stuff, total quality management, all of these things. How can we, or how can organizations build agile workforces? So what are some of the things that we as employers or companies need to recognize and understand and accept if they want to continue building an agile and future ready workforce? And are there, on the flip side of that, what do they need to let go of?
Okay, so before I answer that question, I'm going to set up just a kind of a baseline here. When we think about where we are with tech today, we have to think of it not as a complicated problem, but we have to think of it as something complex. So when we think about something complicated, you can go through and you can line out the steps. It may take some unwinding. You may have to figure out, like, what does it look like? But when you've got steps, you can go through and then you can check the box and say, we have completed this complicated thing. We are in a space where the world, tech, people, it's complex. It's not something we can solve. It's not something that we say, oh, AI is absolutely going to stop generating new content by 2026. So we know by 2026, it doesn't work that way, right? The internet, AI is reinventing itself with this data every day. So 24 hours later, we're seeing brand new stuff that we've never seen before. So first of all, we have to look at the world as complex. We have to look at tech as complex. It's not something that we can solve for. It's something we have to continue to work through together. So kind of setting the stage there, you can't be agile if you don't have dynamic data that goes across your organization. So if you have siloed or static data, you're not going to be able to be agile, at least with the right things, because you're not going to have the right information. And skills is a data point, right? So anything that you have in your organization is a data point. And if you don't have that across your organization, if you don't have a way to look at that in a dynamic way, it's really going to be tough for you to move forward and to stay agile. I think workforces, they have to be built We can't just buy them. So we have to stop looking at externally. I know, crazy. I'm getting in the TA weeds. Oh,
Yep.
but
Yep.
we have to be
Woo!
better. No, spicy girl. Hey, blow it all up, right?
So interesting.
I think internal mobility isn't optional anymore. We have to start hiring for different capabilities, and we can't just hire for what a hiring manager says is a critical need. We have to tie every hire to organizational outcomes because that's going to drive the business. Okay. I think skills shift faster than org charts. So again, we have to make sure that we're hiring.
Say that again. Say that again,
skills
please.
are shifting faster than org charts.
Yes.
So we have job descriptions, we have containers, we have these things that we say are required. And we think about 6 months down the road. Like I think about this job that I'm in. I've been in this job for a year and a half, and I think I've gone through 3 iterations. Like if you look at my job description, you will not understand what I do today. But that's how things work. And if we aren't being flexible, if we're looking at a job description and we're hiring to a set of requirements, organizations are going to fail. So flexible talent systems have to be in place. And people need meaning, they need agency, and they need visibility. So they have to, we have to make sure that people in organizations are seen, are heard, and are engaged in meaningful work. I think some of the stuff we have to let go of is that expertise is more important than curiosity. So we have to stop hiring for the knowledge bank and start hiring for that natural inquisitiveness.
Yes.
And I think we have to think about, and we've talked about this forever. You know, we don't want TA or HR to be thought of as a cost center. We have to continue to change that to say it's a capability center. What is it? What is happening in HR that is going to that organizational outcome? What problems are we solving for that don't just live in HR, right? Like, so we need to be thinking about capabilities. We have to stop saying, if we build it, they will come. Because no, they won't. And they just gonna leave. So,
but everyone wants to work for us, Rebecca. Everyone
I
wants
know,
to work
we
here.
think that, don't we? And if we just throw more tech at it, people will absolutely jump in and use the things and do the things. And no, they won't. So we need to make sure that we're giving people context and guidance and with them, like, what's in it for me? Why am I doing this? I don't care about filling out your talent profile because you get a checkbox because your profile is 80% complete. I want to know if I fill it out, I'm going to get more opportunities or more visibility or more projects or maybe a raise.
No, you're not. You're going to go into our database.
And that's how it is now. That's absolutely how it is now, right? And I think that last piece, thinking about that, we have to stop being defined by our resume or our job title. My mantra, like my resume is a list of stuff I never want to do again. So don't hold me to that. I've done it. I want to do something new. So we have to continue to think about, what does that agile workforce look like? We've got to let go of some of the stuff that's holding us back.
Whew. You have like
soared. No opinions.
You have soared. Like she soared into the reset. I don't even know. Like I'm selfishly going to ask to get more additional insights. But you've already answered. Like you've already answered these questions. You've already answered them. But like I said, I got you here. You're here now. You're online. And if you leave, they're going to say, "Why did she leave?" So I've trapped you.
I'm trapped. All right.
Yes, the trap recruiter has trapped you. Sorry. So. As we wrap up and we get ready for 2026, like what's an additional, I'll say, reset that organizations need to make for more people-centered talent systems?
Yeah. So we've hit pieces of it throughout what I've said already, but I think we have to move. So I'll try to keep this concise. I'm not very good at it because I just have all kinds of thoughts about all kinds of things. But we've got to move from role-based to capability-based planning. We talked about that. We have to think about building from the ground up. What does the work look like? What do the tasks look like? And where are the people who do these things? Where can we find them in the organization? And let's build roles around the capabilities you have in your organization instead of putting a job description and then trying to shove somebody into it, right? So we have to think about capability-based planning and looking at the folks that we have inside and supplementing. And that could be an internal gig. That could be a contractor. It could be a full-time role, but I think we have to be more flexible when we think about the work that actually needs to get done. We have to stop, I already said this, we have to stop implementing tech and start implementing behaviors. So, a few years ago we said people are ready for change and the tech just can't keep up, but now it's shifted and now we
Right.
have so much tech and people are overwhelmed, they're overloaded, they're unsure about what they should be using and why because there's so many things out there. So this reset for me is about slowing down long enough to build the right behaviors, right? We have to start recreating our culture, our norms that make technology stick. So you can't just drop AI in or a new platform in. And there is someone that we all know who said, hey, a couple of years ago, I'm going to buy all the tech and I'm just going to let my team choose. Well, guess what? They didn't choose the tech that was best for the job. They chose the tech that they already knew that was easiest to use. So we have to develop better behaviors instead of just trying to throw, hey, bright shiny at people and expect that they're gonna embrace it. They're not. So we need to develop shared languages. We need clear expectations. We need time to play. We need psychological safety. And we have leaders who model using those tools in the way that they want them to be used. And that leads into the reset about transparency. I think, we talk about a knowledge worker instead of a curious learner. When we shift the idea of being transparent and our leaders saying, we don't have it all figured out because we're learning right along with you. When we start shifting to say, we're going to be more transparent, this is what we know now. For the next 3 months, here's what we're going to work on, right? Building that transparency and that trust. Employees need to know that leaders have their back. And leaders need to know that employees are on board. So there has to be that open feedback, iteration loop. We have to be better about saying, we don't know, but we're going to learn together. One of the coolest things that we're hearing about in different organizations is they're starting, and I don't love the title of this or calling it reverse mentorship, which I don't think really explains what it is. No. But the idea of having Gen Z teach Gen X and teaching boomers on how to do things and opening up that conversation where it's not just, hey, I'm going to drop my knowledge bomb on you and peace out. I'm going to take my red stapler and go. It's much more, because Gen Zers don't even know what the stapler is, but but it's about how do we learn from each other, right? What kind of things could we incorporate in our daily lives that are happening in somebody else's day-to-day that we wouldn't even know about? So making sure that we're opening up those conversation windows and driving trust and transparency, top down and bottom up.
Yeah, I think it's really important that leaders are involved in some way, shape, or form, not just our our HR tech or IT team saying, here's the latest and greatest, but leading by example, like you said. And earlier you mentioned collaboration. So as we're looking at all of these different types of technologies, all of these different platforms, whether it's AI or it's an applicant tracking system, it's an ERP, how are we, especially us in TA and HR, how are we collaborating across different groups? And how is leadership buying into and adapting and modeling the behavior that they're expecting from the rest of the team members throughout the organization? So I think one of the questions I had was about leadership and how they can be creative and work tech and AI into their organizations. And I think you answered that as you were responding to Kirsten's question. But a couple of additional questions I have for you as we kind of wrap up and get into holiday season. One is, what is your favorite holiday tradition?
My favorite holiday tradition. So we have had, our family is blended, right? So I have 2 boys and my husband is a girl. And so we've always had kind of flexible holidays because everybody's been here or there. You're trying to manage a lot more Christmases. But I think my favorite is always baking cookies together. The kids have all looked forward to that since they were little. And so I'll take 5 or 6 recipes. We put them all out there. All the ingredients are out there, and we just make and bake all day long. You invite the neighbors, you invite the friends. If you help, you get to take. So it's just kind of this experience where we're all in it together and we're all doing it. It's not mom made Christmas cookies. It's like we all did. And I'll tell you, some of them we have made a mess of. There's still some burnt marks on a cookie sheet that I have that I keep just for memories. I'm like, remember when we totally torched those double chocolate cookies? But it's the memories and the fun and the smells and, you know, kind of that sticks. And so even though I'm in Arizona now, kids are still in Minnesota, they will come here or we will go there and we'll do Christmas cookies. That's just something that they ask for every year. So Christmas cookies.
And how many reusable water bottles do you go through when you're baking the cookies?
Water bottles everywhere. I have so many stashes of water bottles, especially now living in Arizona. Like, I am terrified. I will tell you, I'm terrified of being dehydrated. So like, I have water with me everywhere. Here's my big Caribou cup from Minnesota. Water everywhere. We have a whole entire drink fridge outside just with drinks so we don't dehydrate. It's important.
Great. And probably the most important question you'll be asked today, and there is only one correct answer.
Oh no, I'm going to get it wrong. I know it.
It maybe. And that is,
she just
of all of the handbags that you own, which is the most outlandish, creative, decorative, favoritist handbag that you own?
Oh my gosh, I have to think about it. I just sold a bunch of them too that I don't carry anymore. I have one that was given to me by a friend, which is an 80s beaded, looks like a cassette tape. And it's 80s, and it's got a cassette tape on the outside. It's all beaded. It's so fun. I'll show it to you sometime. I'll send you a picture. I have a lot of fun ones, but I think that's the most fun.
That is the correct answer, by the way.
That is? Okay.
Yes, that is.
Listen, I knew she was going to do this, and this is a bonus episode, and I knew she was going to do this. So, but I'm still like, I can't believe she did this. Like, she had like 6 additional questions. She was.
If I had time, I would go get it for you and show it to you, but I will, I promise I will send a picture.
Okay. I'm not going to ask the resolution question because everyone has told me no up to this point.
My answer is no as well, but I do have sort of an answer for it. I don't do resolutions, but I do have a goal of what I want to work on. So
okay.
It's a little different.
All right.
You know,
I have a question for you though.
Yes. Yeah. You ask that one.
Yes. I have a question because again, going back to your last time being on this show, being on Trap Chat, you picked a song. I was like, really? Like, so she picked Kirk Franklin's Stomp.
Okay.
Stomp.
No.
She reminds me every time she messages me and she goes, I don't love Stomp, but then she'll send me her other song.
Yes, but wait, not only that, on your birthday, I always give you a meme with Kirk Franklin.
Yes, I love Kirk.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you your favorite holiday song, or do you have have you added a new song that you want to talk about?
Yeah, so I don't do holiday songs as much, like, because I just love all music, so whatever plays. But you're gonna love this. So one of my newest favorite bands is called The Who, and it's HU.
Oh, I was like, that's.
And it's a Mongolian throat singing band. They have this song called The Wolf Totem. That's amazing. So you have to look up The Who, Wolf Totem, and it's
spell it again. W.
Just HU.
HU. Okay.
Yes, and it's a Mongolian throat singing band. So they have all and they have all different kinds of stories. Of course, nothing is in English, but some of their stuff is amazing. So listen to The Who, and you can throat sing.
I'm gonna take your word for it, Rebecca. Oh my
Okay.
gosh, this has been such a fun time. I want to thank you for being here, for taking time out of your schedule. As again, the senior director, I like saying that because definitely the senior director. Taking time out to talk
Of
to us
course.
from Arizona. And I want to thank my illustrious co-host, Tiffany Toussaint, for being here as well and adding so much character and insight to the conversation. There may be additional bonus episodes, so
Ooh, I'll
make
have to look
sure
for
you
those.
stay tuned. Until next time, thanks everyone.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays and
Peace
Happy New
out.
Year.